What if I told you that the life you've been chasing is not actually running away from you? What if every dream that refuses to leave your mind is already searching for the version of you capable of receiving it? By the end of this video, you'll understand why the opportunities, love, purpose, and peace you crave have remained just out of reach, and why the moment you transform yourself, they begin moving toward you almost effortlessly. Before we begin, I want you to answer one question in the comments. What is the one thing you've been seeking for years? Success, love, peace, purpose, freedom. Write just one word. You may discover that your answer reveals far more about you than you realize. Now let's explore the strange psychological truth that changes everything. The strange truth is that the things you desire most are often not random wishes that appeared from nowhere. They are signals emerging from the deepest parts of your mind, pointing towards something essential that your conscious self has not yet fully recognized. Many people spend years believing they are chasing success, love, purpose, or peace, without realizing that these longings reveal an unfinished conversation taking place within them. The object of desire is rarely just the object itself. It represents a missing quality, an unrealized potential, or a forgotten part of your own nature waiting to be acknowledged. This is why certain dreams refuse to disappear. They return in quiet moments, during sleepless nights, or whenever life becomes predictable. They continue calling because they are connected to your psychological growth rather than simple ambition. What you seek is not merely an external reward. It is a symbol carrying deeper meaning, inviting you toward a more complete version of yourself. The longing itself becomes evidence that your inner world is attempting to guide your outer life. People often assume that fulfillment comes from acquiring what they want, yet they overlook a more profound reality. Before anything meaningful can become part of your life, your inner landscape begins preparing you for it. The desire acts like an invisible force, encouraging new habits, new questions, and even painful experiences that shape your character. Without realizing it, you start becoming the person capable of holding what once seemed impossible. Seen this way, your deepest aspirations are less like distant destinations and more like reflections appearing on the horizon, drawing you forward. Every meaningful pursuit quietly reshapes your perceptions, decisions, and relationships. The search changes the seeker long before the goal is reached. What appears to be a chase is often a process of alignment, where your inner world slowly moves into harmony with the life that has been waiting beyond fear, doubt, and old identities. When you begin to recognize this hidden relationship, your desires stop feeling like burdens and start becoming trusted guides, revealing the path toward the person you were always capable of becoming. The emptiness you feel is not always a sign that something is wrong with your life. Sometimes it is evidence that a deeper part of you has outgrown the identity you have been living. Most people fear this inner void because it feels uncomfortable, uncertain, and impossible to explain. They rush to fill it with constant work, endless entertainment, relationships, achievements, or distractions, believing that silence is the enemy. Yet the more they attempt to escape it, the louder it becomes. What they mistake for emptiness is often an invitation. There is a remarkable difference between being empty and being unfinished. Emptiness suggests that nothing exists within you, but being unfinished means something is waiting to emerge. The longing that follows you through different stages of life is not trying to punish you. It is trying to redirect you. It whispers that the person you have become is no longer large enough to contain the person you are capable of becoming. This explains why achieving one goal rarely eliminates the feeling completely. You may gain wealth, recognition, or even the relationship you once dreamed about, only to discover another quiet longing rising from within. The mind immediately searches for another external answer, while the deeper self continues asking an internal question. It is not demanding more possessions. It is asking for greater authenticity. The inner void functions much like a compass hidden beneath layers of habit and expectation. It does not point toward comfort, it points toward growth. Every feeling of restlessness encourages you to examine the beliefs you inherited, the roles you accepted, and the fears that quietly govern your choices. Instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this feeling?" a more powerful question becomes, "What is this feeling trying to reveal?" When approached with curiosity instead of resistance, the void begins to transform. It becomes less like a dark hole and more like an open doorway. What once felt like absence slowly reveals itself as possibility. The ache within you was never simply asking to be filled. It was asking to be understood. And the moment you stop running from it, you discover that the emptiness has been carrying directions all along, patiently leading you toward a life that feels genuinely your own. The greatest treasures in life are rarely hidden behind external obstacles. More often, they are guarded by the parts of ourselves we refuse to face. Every person carries within them qualities they admire and qualities they reject. The rejected qualities do not disappear simply because they are ignored. Instead, they retreat into the unconscious, influencing decisions, relationships, and fears from the shadows. What you avoid looking at does not lose its power. In many ways, it gains it. This is why the path toward everything you are seeking often feels strangely blocked. You may believe that the obstacle is lack of opportunity, bad luck, or difficult people. While those challenges are real, the deepest barrier is frequently internal. Fear of failure may disguise itself as perfectionism. Fear of rejection may appear as independence. Fear of being truly seen may hide behind constant busyness. These hidden patterns become silent gatekeepers, preventing you from stepping into the life you claim to desire. Imagine standing before a locked door that leads to everything you have ever wanted. Most people spend years searching for another entrance, unaware that the key has been in their pocket all along. That key is self-awareness. The moment you become willing to acknowledge the parts of yourself you have denied, the door begins to unlock. The qualities you judged as weaknesses may contain your greatest strength. The emotions you buried may contain the wisdom you desperately need. This does not mean embracing every impulse without question. It means recognizing that anger can reveal violated boundaries, fear can expose areas demanding courage, and vulnerability can become the foundation of genuine connection. Every emotion carries information. Every hidden part has a message. When ignored, they create confusion. When understood, they become guides. The paradox is that what frightens you most often stands closest to what you seek most. The fear of speaking may guard your voice. The fear of love may protect your capacity for intimacy. The fear of change may conceal your next stage of growth. The treasure is not hidden from you by the world. It is hidden behind the walls you unknowingly built within yourself. The moment you find the courage to step into those inner shadows with honesty instead of judgment, they stop being prisons and begin becoming pathways to the life that has been waiting for you all along. There are moments in life that seem too meaningful to dismiss as mere coincidence. You think of someone you have not spoken to in years, and suddenly they call. A book appears just when you are searching for answers you could not put into words. You keep encountering the same idea, the same symbol, or the same opportunity until it feels as though life itself is trying to capture your attention. Most people brush these moments aside, believing they are random events with no deeper significance. But perhaps they are not random at all. Perhaps they are invitations to become more aware of the hidden dialogue between your inner world and the world around you. When your mind is consumed by fear, confusion, or denial, even the clearest opportunities often pass unnoticed. They were always there, but your attention was fixed elsewhere. Yet something remarkable begins to happen when you gain greater clarity about who you are and what truly matters. Your perception changes. You notice connections that once escaped you. Conversations become more meaningful. Encounters begin to feel strangely timely. It is not necessarily that the universe has suddenly changed its behavior. It is that your consciousness has changed its ability to recognize meaning. This is why transformation often feels as though life starts responding differently. As your beliefs, values, and intentions become more authentic, your actions naturally shift. You begin making choices that align with your deepest convictions rather than your greatest fears. Those choices place you in new environments, introduce you to different people, and open doors that previously seemed invisible. What appears to be extraordinary luck is often the quiet result of inner alignment, meeting, outward action. Meaningful coincidences do not replace responsibility, nor do they excuse passivity. Waiting for signs without taking action only leads to disappointment. The patterns that seem significant become valuable when they encourage movement, reflection, and courage. They remind you to pay attention, but they cannot walk the path for you. The life you seek rarely announces itself with certainty. Instead, it leaves subtle clues scattered throughout your journey, waiting for a mind prepared to recognize them. As you become more honest with yourself, those clues begin to stand out with increasing clarity. What once looked like random events slowly forms a pattern, revealing that your inner transformation has been quietly changing not only how you see the world, but also how you move through it. Many people spend their lives believing that reality changes the moment they finally obtain what they desire. They tell themselves, when I become successful, I will feel confident. When I find the right relationship, I will feel complete. When I achieve recognition, I will finally believe in myself. Yet this way of thinking places your identity at the mercy of circumstances. It assumes that the external world creates the person within. But in truth, the opposite is often closer to reality. The life you experience is deeply influenced by the person you repeatedly choose to become. Identity is not simply the name you carry, the career you hold, or the roles others assign to you. It is the collection of beliefs you accept about yourself every single day. These beliefs quietly shape your decisions long before results appear. A person who believes they are unworthy will often reject opportunities without realizing it. Someone who secretly believes they are destined to fail may stop trying just before success is within reach. The world responds not only to your actions, but also to the invisible assumptions guiding those actions. This is why chasing goals without transforming your identity often leads to frustration. You may achieve what you wanted, but if your inner image remains unchanged, you will struggle to keep it or fully enjoy it. Old fears will recreate old patterns. Doubt will speak louder than achievement. External success cannot permanently silence an internal story that refuses to evolve. Real transformation begins when you stop asking, "What do I need to get?" and start asking, "Who must I become?" That question changes everything. It shifts your attention away from temporary rewards and toward lasting growth. Every habit you build, every fear you confront, and every honest decision you make gradually reshapes your character. You are no longer chasing a future version of yourself. You are creating that person in the present. As your identity changes, your choices naturally change with it. You begin noticing possibilities that once seemed impossible because your mind is no longer filtering reality through old limitations. Confidence grows from repeated acts of courage, wisdom from reflection, and purpose from living in alignment with your deepest values. The life you desire is not waiting for a different version of the world. It is waiting for a different version of you. And the moment your inner identity begins to reflect the person capable of living that life, the distance between seeking and finding becomes far smaller than you ever imagined. There is a reason so many people fear being alone. The moment the noise disappears, they are left face to face with themselves. No distractions, no applause, no constant conversation to drown out the quiet questions rising from within. Solitude has a way of revealing what daily life allows us to avoid. It exposes the fears we have buried, the dreams we have postponed, and the identities we have borrowed from the expectations of others. This is why many confuse loneliness with solitude, even though they are entirely different experiences. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected, but solitude can become the space where genuine connection with yourself begins. At first, that silence may feel uncomfortable. Your mind may race, searching for something to occupy it. Old memories surface without invitation. Doubts speak louder than usual. You may even question whether anything meaningful can emerge from such emptiness. Yet these moments are often the beginning of profound transformation because they force you to encounter the person you have been beneath the roles you perform every day. Most people build their lives around avoiding discomfort. They chase constant activity, believing that movement always means progress. But endless busyness can become another form of escape. It keeps you occupied without allowing you to understand why you are moving in the first place. Solitude interrupts that cycle. It asks difficult questions that no one else can answer for you. What do you truly value? Which desires are genuinely yours, and which were inherited from the expectations of family, society, or fear? Who are you when there is no audience watching? These questions rarely produce immediate answers. Instead, they slowly dissolve the false identities you have carried for years. The mask that once seemed necessary begins to feel heavy. The opinions that once controlled your decisions lose their influence. You start recognizing that authenticity requires the courage to stand alone before you can stand confidently with others. Everything you are seeking becomes clearer in these quiet moments because the noise that once distorted your vision begins to fade. You no longer chase every opportunity or compare yourself to every passing success. Instead, your direction grows steadier, guided by a deeper understanding of who you are. Solitude is not the absence of life. It is the place where your inner voice becomes louder than the world's expectations, allowing you to recognize that the path you have been searching for has been waiting patiently within you all along. The greatest mistake people make is believing they must first possess what they desire before they can become the person they wish to be. They wait for success before developing discipline. They wait for love before learning how to love themselves. They wait for opportunity before preparing their abilities. In doing so, they unknowingly place transformation after achievement, when in reality, achievement is often the natural consequence of transformation. Life has a curious way of asking a simple question before it places anything meaningful into your hands. Who are you becoming while you are waiting? Every worthwhile pursuit demands a price that cannot be paid with money alone. It asks for patience when impatience feels easier. It asks for integrity when shortcuts seem tempting. It asks for resilience when failure whispers that you should quit. These qualities cannot be purchased at the moment success arrives. They must be developed long before the reward appears. The waiting period is not empty time. It is the workshop where character is quietly being shaped. Consider how often people receive what they have long desired, only to lose it because they were never prepared to carry its weight. Wealth without wisdom becomes recklessness. Influence without humility becomes arrogance. Love without emotional maturity becomes dependence or control. The blessing itself is rarely the problem. The problem is the absence of the inner foundation required to sustain it. This is why delays are not always denials. Sometimes they are invitations to become stronger, wiser, and more authentic. Every challenge, disappointment, and unexpected detour carries the possibility of refining your character. While your attention is fixed on the destination, life may be focused on preparing the traveler. The journey changes you in ways the destination alone never could. The paradox is that the moment you become deeply committed to your own growth, your relationship with your goals begins to change. You still pursue them with passion, but they no longer define your worth. You stop chasing validation and start embodying the qualities you once believed only success could give you. Confidence grows from keeping promises to yourself. Peace grows from living in alignment with your values. Purpose grows from the courage to continue becoming, even when no one is watching. What you seek is not merely waiting at the end of the road. It is quietly shaping you with every step you take. And when your inner character finally matches the weight of your aspirations, what once seemed distant often arrives not as an accident, but as the natural outcome of the person you have become. What if the greatest misunderstanding of your life is the belief that you are the only one searching? From the moment a dream first takes root within you, you assume that you must chase it across an indifferent world, forcing doors to open through sheer determination. Yet there is another possibility, one that transforms the entire journey. What if your purpose is not simply waiting to be discovered? What if it is unfolding through every experience, every challenge, and every unexpected turn, steadily moving toward you as you move toward it? Think about the people who changed your life. Before you met them, you had no idea they existed. They were living their own stories, growing through their own struggles, becoming the kind of people who could one day cross your path. The same is true of opportunities, moments of insight, and even the work you feel called to do. While you were preparing for them, they were, in a sense, preparing for you. Two paths were gradually moving toward the same point of intersection, though neither could see the full picture in advance. This perspective changes the way you understand waiting. Waiting is no longer a sign that nothing is happening. Beneath the surface, countless invisible processes are unfolding. Skills are developing. Character is deepening. Circumstances are shifting. People are making decisions that will one day influence your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. What feels like stillness often hides quiet movement beyond your awareness. But this does not mean destiny excuses inaction. The meeting point between you and what you seek is created through participation, not passivity. Every courageous choice, every honest conversation, every lesson learned from failure becomes another step toward that unseen intersection. If you stop walking, you delay the meeting. If you keep growing, you increase the likelihood of recognizing the moment when it finally arrives. Perhaps this is why the deepest fulfillment rarely comes as a sudden reward. It feels more like recognition, as though you're remembering something that has always belonged to you. The life you long for no longer appears foreign. It feels strangely familiar because you have been growing into it all along. Everything you are seeking is not calling you to become someone else. It is calling you home to the truest version of yourself. And as you answer that call with courage, honesty, and persistence, you may discover that what you have been searching for has been moving toward you with equal determination, waiting for the moment when both your inner world and your outer path finally become one. So perhaps the question was never whether the life you desire exists. The real question has always been whether you are willing to become the person who can recognize it, receive it, and live it with awareness. Every longing you carry, every unexplained pull towards something greater is not merely asking you to chase another destination. It is inviting you into a deeper relationship with yourself. The answers you seek are rarely found by running faster than everyone else. They emerge when you have the courage to face your fears, embrace your solitude, understand your hidden patterns, and transform the beliefs that have quietly shaped your reality for years. The journey outward is always preceded by a journey inward. What changes your life is not simply what you acquire, but who you become in the process of seeking it. You may still encounter uncertainty. You may still experience setbacks, moments of doubt, and periods where nothing seems to move. But those moments are not proof that you are lost. They are often the very experiences refining your character, sharpening your perception, and preparing you for what your present self cannot yet fully understand. One day, you will look back and realize that the delays were not empty, the struggles were not meaningless, and the detours were not mistakes. They were quietly arranging the pieces of a life that could only be built by the person you were becoming. So stop measuring your progress only by what you have gained. Measure it by the wisdom you have earned, the fears you have faced, the truths you have accepted, and the authenticity you have chosen over comfort. Because when your inner world begins to reflect your highest potential, the outer world responds in ways that once seemed impossible. And perhaps that is the deepest truth of all. Everything you are seeking has never been asking you to chase it endlessly. It has been patiently waiting for you to awaken to the person you were always meant to be. The moment that awakening begins, the distance between you and your destiny starts to disappear. The search was never just about finding your purpose. It was about allowing your purpose to find you.